Ya estamos en el césped del Tito Vilanova con Raphinha. Es la tercera incorporación, si no contamos a Dembélé, de este Barça 22-23. El primero en presentarse fue Kessie. Después llegó Christensen. Y Raphinha es... ahora vemos a nuestra compañera Àngels Prieto presentando este acontecimiento.
A la Liga Española, al fútbol.
Y ahora llega a la Liga Española. El Fútbol Club Barcelona es jugador del Barça.
A partir d'avui, soci, i per això el president...
Y también es socio. Y el presidente le hará la entrega del carnet.
D'incorporacions, li presenta, li fa entrega d'aquest carnet de socio.
Le entrega el carnet de socio el presidente, que podrá lucir Raphinha desde el primer día
aquí a Barcelona.
Su llegada a Barcelona.
I com us dèiem, és soci del Barça i també...
Socio del Barça. Y para tramitar que es jugador, vamos con la firma del contrato.
Que el vincularà al Futbol Club Barcelona.
Un moment ara per la signatura pública, el president Joan Laporta també.
Vemos la firma, el presidente Laporta junto al protagonista del día, Raphinha. No se ha hecho pública la extensión del contrato, por tanto no sabemos hasta qué fecha estará el brasileño.
Però el que sí que veiem és que ara mateix fan constar...
Y vemos cómo hacen constar su firma en este contrato, en esta firma pública.
El ex del Leeds ja és...
Y el ex del Leeds ya es oficialmente futbolista del Barça.
Y ahora Raphinha...
We know that these posters are later auctioned off for charity. All of the funds received go to a charity. Yesterday we saw Dembélé sign his poster. Today,
I ara, president, li farem entrega a Raphinha de la samarreta que lluirà aquesta temporada amb el primer equip.
The handing over of the new shirt for the 22-23 season with Raphinha on the back and Bruno, Spotify, our new sponsor on the front.
Yes, and we still don't know the number that Raphinha will wear. These are sometimes aspects that depends on who comes to the club, who leaves, and probably will take some weeks to know which number will wear Raphinha. But yeah, this beautiful first kit this season with, of course, the new sponsor of Spotify. That is also nice to see a great brand linked to FC Barcelona. And well, Diego, another signing. Tomorrow this team, and hopefully with Raphinha, we will know it later with the squad list, will be traveling to the States for the preseason. So yeah, busy days before
Començarem pel
starting
president del Barça, president, amb aquesta ja quarta incorporació en aquesta temporada 22-23. El Barça de Xavi Hernández va agafant forma.
Sí, sí, sí. En primer lloc, Raphinha, benvingut, benvindo. Per nosaltres és molt emocionant avui pel Barça, pel Futbol Club Barcelona. És molt emocionant perquè tots els que hem viscut èpoques daurades de la història del club, doncs generalment sempre hi ha hagut un brasilero. I jo crec que el Raphinha ens fa recordar jugadors que han creat aquesta nissaga de brasileros que han estat al Barça i que ell agafa el testimoni en aquests moments, que precisament també necessitem retrobar-nos amb l'alegria, la il·lusió, l'entusiasme, la màgia. I des del club pensem que torna el jogo bonito, torna el jogo bonito al Barça, i això és molt important per l'entitat. És un jugador que l'ha volgut el nostre entrenador, el Xavi. Xavi ha insistit molt que volia tenir-te en el seu equip i al club hem fet tot el que hem pogut. Estem molt agraïts a tu perquè has fet tot el possible per venir a jugar al Barça. Has mostrat en tot moment el desig de venir a jugar al Barça. Això ha sigut clau, Raphinha, per la teva incorporació. I vull un cop més agrair la bona feina que està fent el Mateu Alemany, el Jordi Cruyff i tots vosaltres des del Departament de Futbol perquè aquest equip del Barça cada vegada sigui més competitiu amb jugadors del gran talent que té, com per exemple, el Raphinha. També agrair molt al Deco, que ha treballat molt també perquè... ha treballat molt i molt. I ho hem pogut comprovar durant tot el decurs d'aquestes negociacions. Gràcies, Deco, perquè també tu ho has fet possible. No sé on estàs, em sembla que estàs per aquí. I bé, i molt emocionat també perquè els pares del Raphinha, la dona del Raphinha, són aquí avui i ho he dit, el Barça és una gran família i el fet que avui vivim aquests moments tan emocionants també és gràcies a vosaltres. Per tant, moltíssimes gràcies a tots per haver-ho fet possible i especialment a tu i esperem això, treball, entrenament, que segueixi sent com ets perquè transmets alegria només quan et coneixen. I això és molt bonic, no? Necessitem aquesta alegria, necessitem la teva alegria. Segueix jugant com jugues, el Jogo Bonito. A nosaltres ens ha agradat molt aquí a Can Barça. I, en fi, estem molt contents i molt agraïts. Gràcies, Raphinha.
Jo, agafant el guant del president, m'he posat en contacte amb el centre de documentació del Barça, que és la història viva del club, per saber el número exacte de jugadors brasilers que han jugat al Barça. Com a mínim un minut, tant jugadors del planter que han pujat com jugadors fitxats directament. I Raphinha, eres el 45 jugador brasileño que llega al primer equipo del Fútbol Club Barcelona. Como decía el presidente, han jugado jugadores míticos, Romario, Ronaldinho, Evariste,
legends, the likes of Romario, Rivaldo, Ronaldinho,
ante esta historia a tus espaldas,
added to the grandness and greatness of this club. And hopefully so will you.
Buenas tardes a todos.
Well, first of all, good afternoon to everybody. It's an honor for me to be here.
Lo que puedo decir es solo agradecer
what I can say is
agradecer
that I'm very grateful to be here and for the efforts of everybody to have brought me here.
Tengo muchos ídolos que
I have a lot of idols who have played here,
han hecho mucha historia y
who have made history here.
Bueno, si puedo hacer la mitad que
if I could even achieve half of what they have accomplished here, it will already be a very successful time. It's a dream come true since I was a kid, and of my family as well. I'm going to give my best in order to help Barça to become the Barça that we all know. Thank you to everybody here, the president, the staff, everybody who made this happen. Visca el Barça, long live Barça. And thank you.
Muchísimas gracias, muchísima suerte.
Thank you, and good luck.
Y ahora, Raphinha, te voy a invitar a que vayas al vestuario.
And now Raphinha will go into the changing room and will return to this pitch right here, fully dressed in the Barça kit of this season, and will show off some of his juggling skills dressed in the Barça kit for the very first time. So exciting times for this player, as you mentioned, Bruno. A good mix of youth, but also experience. He's made his round through some of the top leagues in Europe, from Portugal, France, and the Premier League as well, of course, where he had a very tough time with Leeds. I mean, fighting for survival there, making sure that the team from the UK wouldn't get relegated, and they managed to do so in the very last match day as well. And we saw what it meant to him, to the team as well, of course. But the effort that went into that season is perhaps tough to judge as well, because the player with so much skills surrounded in a team that perhaps didn't meet all of his characteristics the best way possible can only make us Barca fans more excited seeing him maybe surrounded with more talented players.
Yes, that's true. And Raphinha in the end is 25 years old, and I'll see him like a veteran, as most of us players are 18, 19, 20 years old. Well, it's good also to have this medium point of age, and not so young, also not so veteran, to have this also group of age between 25, 28 years old. It's also important to have this kind of players. Of course, he will be
to Christensen and Kessié.
Exactly, he will be competing for other objectives, like not for relegation. We hope, of course. And in this case, well, I want to highlight also the words from President Laporta, as well, Raphinha made an effort to come to Barcelona because lots of clubs wanted him, and the same probably Barca's offer in terms of personal offer to him was not the best one. But in this case, lots of players, they give priority to Barcelona and not to the economic reasons, as they know that it's, of course, one of the best clubs in the world, and in the end also looking forward to their career and their future. And it's great to see how all these players, Kessié, Christensen, that they of course arrived free of charge as they were free agents. They decided to come to Barcelona, and in this case Raphinha, there was also many European clubs that wanted him. It's great to have him here. He has picked Barcelona and did this effort, because the information were that other clubs were offering more money than Barca, and in the end he wasn't a free agent. And in this case, the relationship between Leeds United, the player, and also Barcelona, have been successful to have Raphinha here, and it's of course something really positive. This energy and this connection is fantastic.
Crucial, of course, the good relations between clubs, and also perhaps his agent, Joan Laporta mentioned Deco, of course, a Barca legend that is now the agent of this player, and it goes, I mean, perhaps it was destined as well for him to eventually become a Barca player, given the fact, the long line of history and relationship that Barca have with Brazilian legends. We heard our colleague Angels name some of them, the likes of Ronaldinho, all starting with R's as well, Romario, Ronaldo, Rivaldo, and now Raphinha as well, joining the ranks of Brazilian players, starting with the letter R. That have now become a Barca player, but it goes beyond that, doesn't it? I mean, the fact that his father actually was very close friends with Ronaldinho during his time here, and Raphinha himself, when he was just a young kid, saw Ronaldinho in action in his debut season with Football Club Barcelona, and that's really where he became enamored and fell in love with the club, and it became his childhood dream, as he mentioned, to eventually come and play for this club.
Yes, and well, of course, he signs from Leeds United, as you mentioned, Diego. Well, they were fighting to avoid the drop last season in the Premier League, but we also have to say that Raphinha is an important player in the national team, playing for Brazil, and he will be, of course, important in the World Cup that will be played in late November. So, as Dani Alves left the club and he won't be continuing in Barca, well, we still have someone from Brazil, as the president mentioned, and in this case will be Raphinha. We can make just a quick review, Diego, on which kind of player or his position. He will be. He's a right winger, left-footed player, so he will play, as we say, a pierna cambiada, no, in his, not his natural position as his foot, but really talented with his skills, passing the ball, shooting. I mean, this kind of really technician player in this case, who scores goals, as we have been mentioning. 11 last campaign in the league, playing in a team, of course, that was fighting to avoid the drop like Leeds. It's a good number, 11 goals. And yes, someone who, of course, will connect a lot with the rest of the forward line. And good skills for Raphinha, who, as we also mentioned, he will be probably competing with Dembélé for that spot in the right wing up front for Barca. Really different players with Dembélé. But it's also good for Xavi to have different resources.
Definitely, but on the other hand, they could complement each other very well as well, because keeping in mind that Dembélé can also, of course, play on the left. In fact, he was brought in originally to play on the left side to cover the vacancy, let's say, that Neymar left when he moved on to PSG. So it could be Could we ever see that happen?
Yes.
Maybe Dembele on the left, Raphinha on the right, even though Raphinha as well has played on the left.
No, of course, there are lots of options.
Yeah.
Also, Ferran can play in both sides,
Exactly.
and even as a number 9 or Ansu. I mean, we are talking about really versatile players. The forward line from Barca, the one that this team are building, and this is positive because you need these kind of resources, and always depends on your opponent and the situation of the game. You will need one thing or another one. So yeah, this versatility also from Raphinha, it's also really positive, I'm sure, for Xavi Hernandez.
We heard Laporta talk about how he was an expressed desire by head coach Xavi Hernandez. Xavi really valuing and appreciating just his excellent vision as well. The fact that he is so daring, he's very consistent as well. Let's not forget that Raphinha appeared in 35 of the 38 Premier League games for Leeds last season. Now, another thing that Xavi might really be interested in is the fact that in Bielsa's system, he really stood out for his defending awareness as well. The ability to track back and make sure to really focus on recovering possession of the ball again once it is lost. So, and we all know, of course, that is one of the fundamental points in Xavi's system.
Yes, it's another of the important skills of Raphinha, not just up front. He's also, players you just mentioned, Diego, that also defends a lot, and that's always really important. And in Barca's recent history, always from the 3 players up front, you always need that one from the 3 who makes this extra effort supporting to the back. And for example, just it's an imagination, but if you are playing with Ansu Fati in the left, that probably is not as defending player as in this case Raphinha. Well, you always get this balanced player in this case, and it can be really important. You also talked about consistency, Diego. Yes, he played 35 games last year in the Premier League, 30 in the 2021 campaign. Also for Rennes, and of course Sporting Lisbon and Vitória Guimarães. Well, where he started shining actually in his first season in terms of scoring goals, the 17-18 campaign, where he scored 15 goals for Guimarães. So yeah, player that has been really solid, always fit, and that's of course also really important. And yeah, he has signed a long contract for Barca, and hopefully, let's see if he can fit well in the squad, in the city. Of course, he will need to adapt. A really different system, the one that Leeds United and Bielsa uses than the Barca one, that is always special. But Xavi will have patience for sure. The other day in Olot, it was the debut of the team in that 1-1 draw. And Xavi mentioned after the match that, of course, they still need to work a lot in many concepts for all the new players, like Kessié or Pablo Torre, coming also from Racing de Santander. So step by step, and that's why it's going to be really important, the US tour now, 2 weeks, all the squad together, playing 4 games, and demanding games.
Big games, yeah.
Of course, like, well, a Clásico or Juve. Yeah. Apart from 2 MLS teams like New York Red Bulls or Inter Miami, a league that is growing a lot. So it's going to be really interesting, I think, to see all these players together in that tour. And 2 important aspects here: the footballistic one, the concepts and the game, and then the relationship and the locker room one. That is, I'm not going to say which one is more important, because to success you need to have a good football squad, but at the same time to be all together and build your project.
And that's in terms of climatization, as you mentioned, to the city of Barcelona. Usually Brazilians don't really have a problem to get climatized here, Brazilians or anybody else for that matter. It's, of course, climate-wise, it's a great city. They have the beach here as well, we have the beach here rather. So it's going to be a lot easier, I would imagine, than, say, a city like Leeds. No disrespect to the listeners from Leeds, but the weather's nice here. I mean, the obvious points, of course, they check all the boxes, right?
And he's from Porto Alegre, so
exactly.
He loves the good weather conditions, the beach, and yeah, for sure he's gonna he's going to enjoy the city and the experience of Barcelona. He's now, of course, staying in a hotel in these weeks, these first weeks. It's always the main problem for footballers. They need to find a house first of all, but I'm sure he will find a good place and he will enjoy Barcelona.
Now, Bruno, you drew upon the comparisons, which are at this point inevitable, of course, between the Brazilian and the Frenchman Ousmane Dembélé. You talked about how perhaps Raphinha is more of a goal scorer, Dembélé more of an assist provider. Just looking at the stats, comparing the two from last season, you see that Raphinha scored 10 goals compared to the one from Ousmane Dembélé. However, when it comes to assists, Ousmane had 13 compared to the 3 from Raphinha. So putting those two, say, head-to-head, or comparing these two stats, what do you think that comes down to? We know of the dribbling abilities of Ousmane Dembélé, and those who have seen Raphinha on a regular basis also talk very highly of his one-on-one dribbling abilities. He was the 8th greatest dribbler in the Premier League last season, with the 8th most successful dribbles as well, beating his defenders. However, we know that, of course, Xavi really likes his wingers to be traditional wingers, classic wingers, to really kind of spread the field and play along the touchline.
Yes, actually, they are two really different profiles, because in terms of speed, no doubt that Dembélé is the one always winning this battle. But Raphinha also dribbles a lot, but in a different style. It's kind of more technical player, and also, well. The good point for Xavi is that he has good resources and different players. That depends on how the game is going. You can pick one or another one. And well, now we have the player back in the field wearing this great Barca kit, and it's going to be now a special moment for him to make his first touches as a Barca player.
That's it. Always interesting moments for the cameras. And as the Brazilians do, more often than not, very gifted with the ball at their feet. His natural juggling abilities. And the shirt looking good this season too. Which one is your pick between the first and second kit?
First one for me, Diego. Yeah, I love the first one, kind of traditional. And it reminds me also a lot to old times, and it's beautiful also that the away kit is also a good one. And just Diego, to confirm, a 4-year contract until 2026 and 1,000 million euros buyout clause.
Wow.
They just confirm it officially.
There we go, the billion.
So yeah, 4 years for Raphinha. In the world of football, it's getting used to this kind of short contracts. It's not the case of Raphinha. 4 years is not bad at all, but it was always, when you sign a big player, it was used to see 5 or even 6 years ago. And now, well, short contracts, but it's not a bad idea at all to go step by step, of course, between the player and the club. Sometimes it's fair also to see, of course, how one is evolving and everything, but well, and also, well, what a moment now for all these kids from Barca academies to have the experience to make some touches here with Raphinha in this beautiful Tito Vilanova pitch.
The famous rondo now taking place between players from the academy and the new signing Raphinha, still without a confirmed number on his back. But what is important is that he is here and dressed in the Barca kit, making his signing for Football Club Barcelona official, and come as a reinforcement for Xavi's squad. And depending how you look at this one, Bruno, I mean, we could argue that he is maybe the 3rd, maybe the 4th, or the 5th new signing of the season. We, of course, have to take into account Christensen and Kessié being the first 2, but then there's the argument of maybe Pablo Torre, who's officially a B-team player, but we've already seen great signs of him making his debut with the first team. And then the new contract, let's say, of Dembélé as well. So whether he's the 3rd or the 5th,
not easy just to say exactly which number of signing is.
Yeah, but but again, the team is doing a good job in continuing to strengthen the squad ahead of this new season.
Yes, let's see if he has the chance to make his debut in that first friendly in the States against Inter Miami.
Yeah.
The other day we saw Kessié and Pablo Torre, some really good skills from both of them.
Definitely.
Different profiles at the same time between those two, but both of them, they offered really good resources and skills.
Were you surprised by that at all? See, in particular in the case of Pablo Torres, so young still and just newly arrived and having so much protagonism, being sought out by his teammates?
Yes, surprised, but at the same time, as also I've been following the third division football, and I've seen also things about Pablo Torres. He was the player who, thanks to Pablo Torres, Racing de Santander were promoted to the second division. All the football was on him during the whole game, in set pieces, in moves, scoring goals, giving assists. I mean, he was actually a big difference, and that's why I don't really see him playing in the Barca B team, because in the end, it's kind of an era and a stage that he has passed successful as he got promoted with Racing de Santander. And I know also that, of course, Xavi Hernandez loves him, so we'll have to see his role. But yeah, lots of good skills and many talent. And on the other hand, Kessie, as I don't follow as much the Italian league as here, the Spanish football, it was a big of surprise for me, because I was been reading that he was a really physical player and really strong. But I saw many other things than just physical power. As he was really good with the ball on his feet, combining also with different players, connecting and making a good association, like the one now between the president and Raphinha. But yeah, Kessie was a big surprise for me, and I'm really excited also to continue see this player playing for Barca, and I think he can have an important role in midfield. There are also lots of players in midfield. There will be a good competence between all the players. Now the important thing is to have no injuries, have all the squads available, and then there will be, I think, really good battles and health, I think, competition between all the players.
Well, after this, we will head on over to the press room, where the protagonist of the day will be taking a seat in the hot seat. Perhaps never better said than today. Temperatures are high, as they are here during the summer months, I should say. 35 degrees, mid-30 degrees Celsius. And I'm imagining that Raphinha will be keen to maybe seek some cooler areas, get into the shade, or into an air-conditioned room where he will take on questions of both the national and international press.
At least Raphinha is wearing like the football kit, but President Laporta with all this suit, he will be suffering for sure.
Yeah, we know what that's like, don't we, Bruno? Yes. Those hot days in the Camp Nou.
And at 3 o'clock is like the worst hour, actually, now.
It is. Yeah. President Laporta looks to be holding on to his own, though. He looks like he's used to this.
Yes, we love to see Barca's president always really involved with the first team dynamic, really close to the players, and giving advices to all of them. And it's always great to have the president, involved in the activity. And has been a busy week also for President Laporta, and I'm sure it's gonna continue being a busy summer for him, not just in the States, that there are many different acts with sponsors and peñas, but also, of course, he will continue to have one eye on the transfer market to continue trying to sign players and making Xavi Hernandez happy, as he wants to continue signing players, and of course other ones that will have to left for sure, because in the end normally you have 23-25 spots in one squad.
So much happening behind the scenes, as you mentioned. It's definitely busy times here at Can Barça. Everything that started a week or two ago, as the preseason was officially kicked off, when the national players, the majority of the national players, got back to the orders under Xavi Hernandez and started to train ahead of this tour that you mentioned into American territory. And the beginning of this week, of course, saw the arrival of the remainder of the international players, at least those that had commitments with their national sides in the prior week. So the entire squad is back together. And we're seeing that additional pieces are being added to the puzzle. And we will see, we'll have to wait and see, of course, for further confirmation to see how the transfer market will progress. As we will now wait for the press conference to take place. We're seeing images here of the presentation that just took place. In case you're just joining us, welcome here to Barça TV Plus. For you viewers watching us on YouTube, welcome as well to the presentation of new Brazilian international, the right winger Raphinha, officially made a member as well of Barça. He is now a soci, another member. He will have access to Barça TV Plus, Bruno.
Absolutely. Anyone in the world now can be a Barça member. This was one of the main points in Laporta's program when he was presented as a president. Because during the after when Sandro Rosell and Bartomeu, after his first mandacy in 2010, again it was they closed the option to become new members just to relatives and people in Catalonia or in Spain. Now anyone worldwide can be a member, not just a fan, also a member. So in this case, all the players that they sign as members when they arrive here to the city of Barcelona. Here signing the contract, again, a reminder that he will sign until June 2026 with 1 billion buyout clause, million euros. And, special moments for Raphinha since his arrival on Wednesday. That was his first day in Barcelona. On Wednesday, yesterday, he was also in different events and acts for the club, and today this official presentation. And Raphinha, the 45th Brazilian player playing for Barça, I think was the stat that Andrés Prieto, our colleague, explained in the presentation. So yeah, and here signing this charity poster, that's going to be sold.
Will be put up for auction, exactly, Bruno. And yeah, the 45th Brazilian to play for the Barça first team, Bruno. You know that me being a Dutchman as well, would love to know which nation would have been given more players to the Barça first team between Holland and Brazil. That'd be an interesting one.
I would say Brazil.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you have the stat.
I don't know. I'm putting you on the spot here.
But
yeah.
I mean, because 45 are
45
a lot.
Is a lot.
Yeah. And the Dutch players, we can of course give also lots of names. Of course, Koeman, De Boers, the two brothers, Overmars, Gio. Well, yeah. If you start also making the list, it will be interesting too.
The main one. You're forgetting the main one here, Johan Cruyff, of course, Bruno.
Yeah, well, Cruyff and now De Jong.
Yeah.
Dest, we can say he's half Dutch, half American also.
Yeah.
But
Kluivert, legends.
Yeah, the relationship between Holland and Netherlands in Barça, of course, is something that will be always linked to FC Barcelona. Of course, Johan Cruyff, who was the one starting this great legacy at the club. But at the same time, many good Brazilian players that have been playing for Barça. I will say probably the best ones in Brazil's history have been here. I mean, Romario, Ronaldo, Ronaldinho. Lots of talent, and hopefully. And Raphinha also has been mentioning these days, if I success a small part like the one that all these players we've mentioned, like Ronaldinho, Ronaldo, Romario, they did it at Barça, I will sign him right now. So hopefully, let's see if he can stay here many years and he can success. And I always say that the first months are really important to start winning confidence. The first matches, scoring an early goal, then everything gets easier. I think we have recent examples of players that have been adapting to the club really quickly, like Aubameyang, for example,
hit the ground running.
The first day. Memphis, same, scoring also since the first day. Let's see if he can follow the steps of all these players playing up front, who have been enjoying good moments of the season. I think last campaign we saw good individual moments for some players, but not the whole group at any moment, like 100% at all. So let's see if this year these individual good moments from some players can be also joined to a good group performance to, of course, success again in the league and and in the Champions League. Also, Diego, that this year is going to be really busy calendar in the first 3 months of the season.
It's very condensed.
First week of November will be over, the group stage.
It's crazy.
So that's why it's also really important this preseason and to arrive absolutely informed to the debut against Rayo Vallecano, that it will be at the Camp Nou on Saturday, 13th August. So less than a month to start the official season, Diego. This is about to start.
That's it. That's a date that is marked red in our calendars. The start of the new league season against Rayo Vallecano, a team that we certainly cannot underestimate, given the troubles that they gave us last season. It will be a great test for these players, as they will have then completed the preseason, all of the preseason friendlies as well in America, as well as the Joan Gamper Trophy that of course will be played the weekend prior, the weekend of the 6th, against Pumas, the legendary Mexican side, which has had some great names, of course. Hugo Sanchez, the Madrid legend, was a manager there. I don't think he played there as a player himself, I might be mistaken, but it is certainly a match to look out for, as this year, unlike last year, the Joan Gamper Trophy will not be shared between the men's and the women's team. Last year, both teams got to play against Juventus. La Vecchia Señora were the opponents for both the first team of the women's and men's team. Played on the same day as well. The idea originally, of course, was to have exactly that against Roma. However, for one reason or another, mysterious reason, that no longer is going ahead, and instead the men's team will face Pumas, whereas the ladies will face Montpellier later on in the month of August. The 23rd, I believe, is the date where their Joan Gamper game will be played.
Yes, you were right, Diego. Sanchez never played in Pumas as a player. Of course, yeah, he managed the team as a manager. He played in Universidad Nacional in Mexico, America, another of the historic ones.
Yeah.
And Atlante, and Atlético Celaya. So many different Mexican teams. Of course, he's well known as his best years playing in Spain for Real Madrid. And before seeing Raphinha in the press room, Diego, just also a quick remind to the upcoming games for Barca in this US tour. The team will depart tomorrow from Barcelona airport.
The team and you.
Yes,
don't forget.
And many other media colleagues, because it's absolutely amazing. Almost 20 people from the communication team are going to be in that US tour. Of course, lots of things to cover, but yeah, many also people in the whole group. But yes, tomorrow flying to Miami. The first game will be against Inter Miami on Tuesday, 19th local time, 20th for the ones in Europe. Then all the action will be continue in Las Vegas, the 23rd in the States, 24th in Europe for El Clásico. Big game in an amazing stadium, the Allegiant Stadium.
Is that a covered
stadium? Yes, it's all covered. It's really hot in Vegas. I've been watching the temperatures, the weather forecast, and the lowest temperature in the night is around 30 degrees. So it's absolutely crazy. So yeah, all the stadium is covered. Then the team will travel to Dallas. Of course, an historic place where President Kennedy died there, and the team will play against Juve in a really big and historic stadium, the Cotton Bowl, more than 90,000 spectators capacity, and the US tour will end in New York, facing New York Red Bulls, former Pierre-Emerick team, for example, one of the historic ones in MLS, the one probably that started, with all the passion and growing in the MLS, the New York Red Bulls, with Thierry that was a really known and famous signing. And this will be the end of this US tour. As you also mentioned, the Gamper, 7th August, facing Pumas from Mexico, and then the official debut for Barca at the Camp Nou against Rayo Vallecano. So actually 5 friendlies before kicking off the official season. Unfortunately, the team won't be in Helsinki playing the Super Cup. They had the option to do it, of course, as the Europa League winners, but unfortunately the team were not able to win the title. Let's see if this year things go better in Europe. of course, and Barca are back competing against the best squads. That this is basically the main objective for Xavi Hernandez since his arrival, to compete against everyone. And I think step by step we are seeing the team improving. The team also in the offices are signing really top players. So everything seems to be together. And let's see, if the team can start well this season. However, it's going to be really strange and different year as everything will stop in November. And you may arrive to November playing a good level and at your best, then the calendar stops, players go to the World Cup, and you go back, and I don't know if you will stay at the same form or not, or if in the World Cup any of your players gets injured. I mean, you never know what can happen this year. It's going to be strange because it's going to be the first year in football's history to be playing a World Cup during a winter in Europe.
It's definitely another atypical season, as a word that we've grown accustomed to ever since the COVID pandemic, of course, when also the league had to come to an abrupt halt for good reason, naturally. But and this one as well, the World Cup, of course, maybe some of us would have preferred it the regular over the summer months. This is going to be very odd indeed. It'll throw us all off guard, but it makes the work of the physio team as well ever so hard and complicated to make sure that the team is, or the players rather, are on point, that they're at their maximum level, competing in this very, as you mentioned, Bruno, condensed schedule for, in particular, the Champions League group phase, where all of those games will be compact in, what is it, a month and a half? Does it even get to 2 months?
Yes. Yes, it's going to be like COVID times for the Champions League group stage for sure. And that's
good as well that Xavi has then this depth with such quality players, of course.
Exactly. This World Cup that is going to be played in Qatar and in 2026 in the States, remember, Mexico, United States and Canada. So it's going to be interesting, of course, to see important teams like Barca, Real Madrid, Juve this summer in the States, as football, soccer, as they call it there in the States, is growing a lot, and also in order to prepare these big events that will be the World Cup in 2026. They also have Olympics in the States in 2028 in LA. So good years for that country in terms of organizing big events.
It'll be interesting to see, Bruno, to see if you'll be able to kind of see the growth of the popularity of the game as well on American territory. We all know, of course, that all leagues, the big leagues, are making a very conscious effort, leagues and clubs, I should say, to really promote the clubs and the football, the brands over in the US, and whether that will be reflected in the American audience.
Yes, we start seeing important players moving to the States. This summer, of course, the big one has been Gareth Bale, signing for LAFC.
Speaking Spanish.
Yes, speaking Spanish also. Probably some people in Madrid have been surprised about that fact, but Gareth Bale with a good Spanish. Also, important players like Chiellini, Carlos Vela, who moved in a kind of young age also to the MLS. So it's good to see players that they don't go just to retire there to the States. They go now not in so late part of their careers, as Gareth Bale. We've seen it playing for Wales, the level that he still has, and of course he will be playing the World Cup and he wants to prepare it well. So the MLS is growing, no doubts at all. There was a press conference that Serginho Dest and Eric Garcia gave to the local media yesterday, and they both of them were explaining that, especially Dest, who knows better the country, that soccer, football is growing a lot in the MLS, and in this case, it will be interesting to see Barca facing, in this case, two top European teams like Real Madrid and Juventus, and also two important teams in the MLS like Inter Miami and New York Red Bull. Well, family seems to be entering in this press room.
Yeah.
So this probably
slowly but surely we will see exactly the protagonists also take to the hot seat, as we mentioned. And just to add to that, what you were saying with regards to football becoming more of a popular game in the U.S. The last time, of course, that a Clásico was played on American territory was in Miami, and was a very successful one at that.
In Vegas, it's sold out already.
It's already sold out. Okay.
In less than 24 hours, all tickets were sold out. So yeah, it's going to be interesting, as there's a game the day before between America and Juve, and it's not sold out yet in Vegas, in the same stadium. But for Saturday, in that Real Madrid-Barça, everything was sold out in a little bit less than 24 hours.
Wow.
So,
well, there goes to show the clásico es siempre un clásico. It's the biggest club football match in the world. There's no doubt about it. Followed by hundreds of millions of people all around the globe. And as you just heard from Bruno himself, there's no more tickets available, and it's just within 24 hours. It became a sold-out event. Now,
Vegas is the place to be. I mean, in terms of spectacles, all the best shows in the world, in musicians, magic, sports. I mean, it's the place to be also. So it's going to be exciting. They actually asked Serginho Dest if he's going to have time to gamble in Vegas, and of course he said that probably they will not have time to gamble, and at the same time that they are professional players and they don't have time, and they will be working on that week.
What about you? Are you taking a little gambling money with you?
Same as Serginho. We are professionals and we will be covering the action. So yeah. But yeah, Vegas is much more than just gamble. I think it's a spectacle and show for everyone in the States.
Exactly. The show, surely these two teams will put on. Last time, if my memory serves me well, the Clásico finished 4-3 in favor for Barça. This time around, of course, very different circumstances with this team that continues to rebuild and restructure itself against the Madrid side. Well, that has had a very successful season last season. What can we expect, you think? It's a big test.
Yes, of course, it's a big test. I mean, same is pre-season, so you never can take serious conclusions after what you see. Like, for example, the day against Olotti was the first game. Yeah. It was 1-1 draw against a fourth actually division team. But I mean, yeah, you have to go step by step. And the important aspect, I think, in pre-season is basically to work on the concepts you want to improve. And also, Serginho Dest mentioned in that press conference that pre-season is the place and the time to make mistakes. Because once the ball will be rolling in the official season, you don't have time, or you cannot make this kind of mistakes. But pre-season is the place to change, improve, try things. And in this case, I think it's going to be good for Barça to have good tests against good rivals, as everything is going to be really busy once the official season will start. So yeah, it's going to be exciting, the US tour for sure. Also important for Barça, not just in terms of football, also for the institution, as they will be making official announcements. I mean, with Spotify visiting headquarters there in New York. ACNUR, the new charity sponsor for Barça, there will be a big event in New York in the Rockefeller Center. So yeah, it's not just about football. Also, this tour, as football as a sport, also has become much more than just sport. It's business, it's contacts, and the States, of course, is a fantastic country to be there. Also, there will be important meetings with Goldman Sachs, and also about the new Spy Bars and the new Palau Blaugrana. They will be visiting important buildings in Austin, in Texas, for example, to get a bit of inspiration to build this new Palau Blaugrana. So yeah, it will be a busy trip. A busy trip, and important, of course, to if you want to be at the top in the world, you need to inspire yourself, and in the States you can find, of course, many good inspirations in terms of companies, places, buildings. They know how to do things, and the show of the sport business, they know it really well.
That's right, Bruno. And perhaps a good moment here to remind our viewers, as we're seeing the new signing, Raphinha, get dressed for the very first time officially as a Barça player, that also, as of next season, Barça will no longer play in the Camp Nou for 18, how many months was it?
1 year,
a year and a half.
This 22-23 season, Barça will play at the Camp Nou.
Exactly.
No problems at all. And then is the 23-24 campaign, the one that Barça will be playing in the Stadio Olímpic of Montjuic, the Olympic Stadium of Barcelona from the 1992 Olympic Games. and hopefully it's going to be just 1 year if things go as they in the timings that they have agreed with the companies that they will be rebuilding the Camp Nou. Is going to be just for 1 season playing away in the Olympic Stadium, and then in the 24-25 season the team will be playing again at the Camp Nou with some restrictions. I mean, as there will be
it won't be
the
complete.
Stadium, exactly, it won't be finished yet, and the idea is to make the big inauguration in the 2025-26 campaign. Barca needed a new stadium. We are seeing teams like Osasuna with El Sadar, with a new stadium, was awarded as one of the best in Europe. A small one, but a new one. Levante with the new Ciudad de Valencia. Of course, Real Madrid are finishing their works on the new Bernabeu that probably will be inaugurated in December this year. Yeah, you mentioned Real Sociedad, of course. Celta de Vigo, Balaídos are also working on it in the new stadium. Valencia with the new Mestalla.
Been a long time,
and exactly a nightmare in that story, but also they will start shortly to build the new stadium. So Barca needed to do this stadium, and also it has been a long story, but it wasn't easy to get all the access and all the laws from the government to allow Barca to
process
so it has been really long, and now once the team and the club has the license, everything will start. But has been also a long process, and hopefully, let's see if now on 2025-26 we will enjoy the new Camp Nou, not just for Barca, also for the city. It's going to be a big change to have a new and a modern stadium. But it's new times, and all the important teams they have new stadiums, and you need it, and also in terms of, again, talking about business, but for your incomes, you need a new stadium to sell more tickets, more VIP experiences.
The museum is the most visited museum of Catalonia. It's more than just the spectacle that takes place on the pitch, but also off of it. Of course, the stores, the museums, the cafeteria as well, that you and I know very well. We had the pleasure to call the game against Galatasaray in the Europa League competition there, which is really state of the art, and Barca making very conscious effort to keep up with the times and make sure that the facilities are the latest, innovative, and state of the art. And in that sense, things to look forward to. But it's going to be interesting as well that season where we will play in Montjuic. For the older La Liga followers, they'll have probably still memories of another certain team playing there. That was, of course, the home ground of Espanyol as well before they moved to El Prat
de Cornellà. At the same time, 10 years ago, they inaugurated that stadium that we hadn't mentioned, but the RCD stadium, that is also a beauty and a nice one. Well, Diego, let's see. We see the three chairs. I'll expect, of course, Alemany, Laporta, and Raphinha to be up there. So let's see what Raphinha has to explain, and I'm sure there are going to be lots of questions to President Laporta and probably to Matteo Alemany about all the possible signings that can arrive in the following hours, days. The fact is that the team will be leaving tomorrow to the States, so of course they can rejoin the tour in the following weeks. But I mean, this afternoon probably is going to be busy, and also tomorrow morning, the last hours before everyone moves to the States, because President Laporta and Matteo Alemany, all of them, they will be
go as well,
traveling to United States. But I'm sure that the activity in the offices will remain and continue in the States at the same time. The phone of Matteo Alemany, I'm sure that this month of July and August, where normal people sometimes they disconnect, it's not the case of Matteo Alemany. He never disconnects, I think, during the year at the same time. But it's going to be interesting to see how Barca closes their squad, because there's still more than 1 month to go before ending the winter transfer market. So let's see.
We, of course, are awaiting news with regards to potentially more players coming in, also players leaving. So in that sense, the off-season, as some might not imagine isn't necessarily the most of relaxing times for the people working within clubs. There's always so much work to be done, even in the summer months, with regards to transfers, with regards to organizing tours. Bruno, you touched upon all of the business deals and meetings that also take place during this time. So, yeah, it's still busy days for sure here in Can Barça as we're awaiting the arrival of, as you can see, three main protagonists of the day for this press conference between Raphinha, President Joan Laporta, and probably, as you mentioned, Mateu Alemany, as they will face the press. The family of the player have already taken their seats, as have the journalists. So we're just awaiting then the arrival of Raphinha and the club representatives, which will have to be patient for a little bit longer.
We start seeing some movements with the protocol team of FC Barcelona, the press media officers, the presenter also is there, let's see, because this of course is going to start soon, and as we are saying, it's going to be interesting of course to hear from Raphinha to explain how everything went in the negotiations, what he is expecting also about this upcoming season, probably what Xavi has demanded him in all the conversations that of course have been experiencing between the two of them. Well, lots of important topics, and there is also always some journalists that they always have funny questions or other aspects that we probably were not expecting to be answered, but well, it will be interesting, of course, to hear from Raphinha for the first time in a press room.
What was interesting as well, Bruno, we talk about players that we don't necessarily hear from a regular basis. We got to hear from Ousmane Dembélé yesterday, also speaking in Spanish, having a very good level of Spanish indeed, and our colleague there, Angels, got to ask him some very, I think, needed questions that we all wanted to hear as Barça fans, one of which was, we understand that you're happy, this is your dream has come true to remain a Barça player, but what was the holdup? What made you decide to kind of wait so long? And, well, he answered that question by saying there were a lot of details that needed to be discussed, but most important is that everybody's happy, both club and me, myself as well. And it was always my dream to be a Barça player, to remain a Barça player. And his primary objective, he wasn't shy at all when talking about his main objective being to win that Champions League trophy, the title, of course, that we all so desperately want to have within our possession once more as the new season will slowly but surely get underway. As you mentioned, Bruno, just 1 month away from the league to start once again, and also the Champions League that will start in December, that group phase being seriously condensed over a very short time span to make room for the World Cup that will take place over in Qatar. A lot of these players, of course, will want to arrive for that tournament as well in tip-top shape. So in that sense, we have to be also, I suppose, optimistic that they're going to give it their all. We hear also Ousmane Dembélé talk about that he will give his all for the team and the club. And Raphinha, as he's taken his seat now, also echoed the same sentiments. And yeah, like I said, they'll be, of course, wanting to arrive for that tournament, the World Cup, in the best shape possible. So there's no doubt when it comes to their professionalism and eagerness to give it their very best, as now all of the club representatives and the player are posing for a picture with the shirt before the press conference will get underway.
From left to right, Vice President Rafa Juste, President Joan Laporta, Raphinha, Mateu Alemany and Jordi Cruyff up there in this official picture. Raphinha, as we also explained, we don't know yet which number he's going to wear, but yeah, what we know is what's going to appear in the shirt. Yeah, his name basically, Raphinha, up there. So now it will be time for the media to start with their questions. and to also hear from the main protagonist, Raphinha, who will be defending Barça's colors at least until June 2026.
Bé, bona tarda de nou. Benvinguts a la sala de premsa, on farem la primera compareixença pública de Raphinha como jogador.
A primeira conferência do Raphinha como jogador do Barcelona, junto com o presidente do FC Barcelona, o João Laporta, também o vice-presidente Mateu Alemão. Antes das perguntas, eu gostaria, em primeiro lugar, começar pelo presidente. Presidente, estamos falando, temos que ratificar, vai ficar Raphinha conosco até 2027? Sim, até 2027. É isso. Não sei se quiser, você pode falar isso, né? Até 2027, não é? É isso mesmo. Então, ele está conosco, o jogador presidente. Não sei se quer dizer alguma coisa para desejar as boas-vindas ao nosso caro jogador. Bem, gente, estamos tão felizes, né?
Per diverses raons.
Por muitas razões. Aliás, eu já dei as boas-vindas a um jogador brasileiro que nasceu em Porto Alegre. E, além disso, está continuando com todos os jogadores brasileiros que temos aqui.
Recent times brasileiros van retornar a l'alegria al barcelonisme i la veritat és que Raphinha entenem que continua aquesta nissaga, no? La nissaga de la màgia brasilera, el jogo bonito. I estem especialment contents. Vull agrair primer al jugador perquè ha fet tot el que estava de la seva part per venir a jugar al Barça. També a la seva família, perquè jo sé que estan molt satisfets, molt contents, s'ha complert un somni. I a més ja ens coneixíem d'abans. Agrair també al seu representant, el Deco, que ha treballat molt i molt per poder aconseguir que el Raphinha acabi jugant al Barça. I també al Mateu Alemany, que és l'artífex, un cop més, d'un gran fitxatge del Barça. I per tant, Mateu, gràcies per la feina que feu, tu, el Jordi i tot l'equip vostre del Departament de Futbol. I jo el que només diria és que un cop més la samba torna al Barça també, no? La samba torna al vestidor del Barça. Feia temps que no sentíem allò, celebracions amb música brasilera, i estic segur que ho podrem disfrutar.
Moltes gràcies, president. Raphinha, llegaste el miércoles y decías prácticamente a tu llegada que no te lo acababas de creer. Ahora llevas unas horas, ya has conocido una parte del club, ya te has vestido de azulgrana. ¿Cómo te sientes ahora que ya te has visto como jugador del Barça?
How do you feel now as a Barça player?
Bom, eu me sinto muito privilegiado de estar aqui.
I feel very privileged to be here.
É bem emocionante, né?
I'm very emotional.
A ficha não cai. Na verdade, acredito que só vai cair depois do primeiro da primeira partida.
I think I'll realize what I've accomplished after the first game.
Como eu já falei, é a realização de um sonho.
Like I said, this has been a dream come true since I was a kid.
Dar muitas alegrias ao torcedor.
To be able to give many.
Ojalá sea así. Muchísimas gracias. Y para te vamos a recibir como hacemos con todos los jugadores, con unas imágenes que reflejan tu calidad.
Like we do with all players, with a short video.
What
Doncs ara sí, començarem aquesta roda de premsa i passo la paraula al meu company Xavi Huarte, que us donarà el torn de paraula.
As the microphone will be passed around.
Premsa, si us plau, escolliu el protagonista a fer la pregunta. Pol, Barça TV, comencem aquí.
Bienvenido, Raphinha, bienvenido. Mi pregunta es para ti.
Well, welcome, Raphinha.
Hace unos minutos,
I have a question for you.
Una petición expresa de Xavi Hernández.
Xavi wanted you to be here. What does it mean, like a legend in the world of football like Xavi asked your services? And if you have talked to him, what he asked you to do here at the club?
Com o Xavi, que para mim já foi uma honra imensa falar com ele, que é
It was a great honor for me to speak with Xavi.
Grande jogador e
he was a great player.
Uma carreira incrível como treinador.
He had an incredible career and hopefully he will as well as a coach.
De saber que a vontade dele era que eu viesse para Barcelona.
He knows the
poder
advantages
ajudar a equipe, assim como a equipe vai me ajudar. Foi uma honra imensa. Então, acredito que a gente vai poder juntar as duas coisas, a vontade dele de me fazer um grande jogador em Barcelona e a minha vontade de ser um grande jogador em Barcelona. Então, falar com ele e ser treinado por ele é uma honra imensa.
And help the team out immensely.
Hola, Roger Bossada, Catalunya Ràdio. Raphinha, benvingut. La meva pregunta és pel president.
Raphinha, my question is for the president.
Es veu obligat a vendre Frenkie de Jong. La meva pregunta és, hi ha hagut avenços ja amb el jugador i demà viatjarà a la gira.
Needs to sell Frenkie de Jong. He's going to travel to the US tour tomorrow.
Não é certo.
Bom, não é verdade. Nós não temos a obrigação de vender o Frenkie de Jong. Aliás, hoje estamos aqui na apresentação de um grande jogador, gente. Estou mais do que convencido que ele vai criar uma nova história no Barcelona. Aliás, eu acredito, né? É um prazer ouvir você falar em português. Que bom. É muito, muito, muito bonito. E por quê? Sim, a gente volta a falar português aqui no FC Barcelona, né? E isso é tão lindo para nós. Não é verdade. A gente não tem a obrigação de vender o jogador.
Fake news.
La contestació de la segona part de la pregunta.
And the answer of your question, Xavi will decide, of course, if he travels to the US tour tomorrow.
Hola, Albert Pedrol de RAC1, benvingut Raphinha. La meva pregunta és pel president Joan Laporta. El Raphinha ja ha arribat, un dels noms que més és el de Robert Lewandowski. Demà hi ha la Lewandowski. Aleshores, la meva pregunta era com estan les negociacions.
How are the negotiations between Barça and Bayern? Can he perhaps incorporate into the tour through the US?
Lewandowski is a player of Bayern Munich and we have massive respect to the German club, so I cannot tell you absolutely anything. And Bayern owns a really good player like Lewandowski. We are now in the presentation of Raphinha, a really talented player coming from Leeds United, and we are really excited.
Hola, ¿qué tal? Santiago de la cadena SER, bienvenido Raphinha. Le quería insistir, presidente, en el asunto de
I want to insist, President, in the Young case, you're not obligated to sell him, you say. At what point are we then? What is the current state between the club and the player?
Bueno, tornem al mateix, no? Evidentment, en Frenkie és un jugador molt important per nosaltres.
Frenkie is a really important player for us,
totalment amb ell.
and we count on him.
El que és clar, i s'ha comentat diverses vegades, és el sistema de fair play a Espanya obliga que hi hagi sortides de jugadors.
What we know is, of course, that the fair play system in Spain says that we need to sell some players, but we count on Frenkie.
Olá, Marcelo Beckler de TNT Sports Brasil. Presidente, enhorabona para o português, espero que desfrute da samba. Raphinha, bem-vindo ao Barcelona.
Congratulations for your Brazilian Mr. Laporta.
Queria te perguntar sobre esse seu sonho de jogar no Barcelona. O presidente na apresentação falava de continuar a mística gaúcha aqui, que teve um brasileiro aqui que há 20 anos veio, devolveu o sorriso para esse clube. Queria saber de onde vem o seu sonho de jogar no Barcelona, se o Ronaldinho teve influência com isso, e como no futebol o mundo é rápido, né? Se você imaginava que há 2 anos você seria titular da seleção brasileira há meses da Copa do Mundo e estaria no clube da sua vida. Obrigado.
Cara, comecei a acompanhar o Barcelona, na verdade, depois da vinda do Ronaldo para cá.
Yeah, I started to watch Barça when Ronaldinho
Obviamente que a participação dele, tudo que ele fez aqui influenciou bastante.
Everything that he
eu comecei a acompanhar o clube.
achieved here definitely influenced my decision to come.
Pelo Barcelona.
I've always wanted to come here.
E depois, mesmo dele ter ido embora, continuei sendo torcedor do Barcelona, continuei com o meu desejo de dia poder realizar meu sonho de vir para cá.
I was always hoping that one day I would be able to realize my dream.
A metade do que ele foi aqui pro Barcelona para mim
to form part
muita coisa.
Of a team like Barça.
Cada um tem sua maneira de jogar, cada um tem sua maneira.
We all have our different ways of playing, of course. So I'm very different.
No jogo e no clube. Mas a vinda dele para cá influenciou bastante nesse meu sonho. Depois, obviamente, ele junto com o Deco ganhar
part
títulos.
Of what influenced me to realize my dream.
Acompanhar cada vez mais. Depois a vinda do Neymar também.
And also watching Neymar play here,
até hoje,
watching every moment.
Desde o começo da carreira dele.
And following his career,
Neymar também influenciou bastante.
Neymar also was a big influence.
Por serem brasileiros que estavam fazendo história no clube.
And all the Brazilians that have made history here.
Sonhava em dia também ser eu sentado aqui dentro do Camp Nou fazendo a minha história.
Once form part of this team and make history here.
Josep Capel de Radio Nacional aquí. Bienvenido a Raphinha y suerte en su nueva etapa en el Barça. Mi pregunta es o para el presidente o para Mateo Alemany. No quieren hablar de posibles fichajes, pero respecto a los jugadores de la actual plantilla, hay varios jugadores que había dicho que no cuenta. Y mi pregunta es si van a ir a la gira por los Estados Unidos, si es decisión de club, decisión de Xavi. ¿Cómo está el tema de las salidas de estos jugadores? Gracias.
Whether it's decision of the club or coach, what is the situation now of players that could potentially leave the team?
Bueno, jo diria que des del punt de vista esportiu, clarament les decisions són de l'entrenador, no?
Well, these will be decisions that Xavi Hernández will have to make, and everything depends on our manager, Xavi Hernández, the ones who will travel to the States. Well, we all know, you all know the situation of some of our players that still have contract with Barça, and we are trying to find solutions between the agents, the players, and if they stay here, it's going to be to try and find them another club.
Hola, bon dia, bona tarda ja. Imma Pedemonte de TV3. Benvingut, Raphinha. Voldria saber si després d'una temporada passada realment decebedora, si coneixes ja quin serà el teu
welcome, Raphinha, after a tough season like the last one. Do you know which atmosphere you're going to find here in the locker room and in Barcelona? And do you think that you can win important titles here at the club?
Eu acredito que o Barcelona, pela sua grandeza, tem que estar brigando por título sempre.
Well, given the grandness of Barça, I think we always have an opportunity to fight for the titles. Barça always needs to fight for these titles.
Por ter sonho de vir jogar aqui, eu acompanho.
It's a dream for me.
Eu sei dos jogadores que tem aqui.
To play here alongside of such great players.
Sei do meu potencial, sei aquilo que eu posso agregar para o time.
I know what I can give to the team.
Pode me ajudar também.
I know how I can help.
Como falei, chego aqui com o pensamento de ganhar títulos.
I'm here with the objective to fight for these titles.
E eu vou fazer de tudo para ajudar a equipe a chegar nesse objetivo.
That I can to achieve these objectives.
Respondendo a última pergunta dele que eu acabei esquecendo.
Answer your other question.
Eu imaginava que eu ia estar sendo titular da seleção brasileira e ia estar chegando no Barcelona hoje.
I couldn't imagine that I would one day also be here in a long line of Brazilians that have played at this club.
Estem en directe a Sports Cope. Mi pregunta es para el director del área de fútbol, Mateo Alemany. Señor Alemany, en invierno usted hizo un vídeo en las redes sociales del club donde dijo que
Ousmane Dembélé
debía marcharse, debía irse.
Social media where you said that Ousmane Dembélé
se ha quedado firmado hasta 2024.
would leave.
No sé si está
Now
satisfecho con
he
todo lo que ha
has
sucedido estos meses.
a new contract. Are you satisfied?
Y sobre todo, ¿cómo han ido estas negociaciones con
how were these negotiations between you and the player?
Ja sap vostè que no som partidaris d'anar comptant com van les negociacions.
I don't really like to explain the day-by-day negotiations.
Amb l'aspecte esportiu, mai hi ha hagut cap dubte respecte
We never doubt on Dembélé in the sporting sides from the club and from the manager.
I nosaltres crec que també. Altra cosa és que ell acabava contracte i hi havia
Dembélé was ending his contract,
molt grossa diferència
and there was a big difference
la valoració que feia
between
els seus agents respecte
his expectations about the contract
quedant lliure, a més de salari, no? I tots els components que això significa,
ending his contract,
i el que nosaltres enteníem
and our position,
un estatus important dins la plantilla, però
to have an important role in this squad, but to be adapted into the new club's policy about salaries. Everyone was defending his position with a really big difference.
Una cultura històrica d'aquest club amb estabats salarials que intentant rompre i que estem en el camí d'aconseguir-ho i que és imprescindible.
Now in the club we are working about a fair salary differences between our players. Well, we have been in touch, and in the end the player wanted to stay here to continue involved in our sporting project. We also made an effort, and I really think that now he has a really good contract, he's really well paid, but in the club's situation, not like years ago, now, a good salary.
Aqui ao fundo, André Linares da ESPN Brasil, bem-vindo aqui ao Barcelona.
Well, welcome to Barcelona, Raphinha. I want to know about your decision once Barca wanted to sign you, because you had other offers.
Você soube que o Barcelona queria contar contigo, e se nessa conta você também colocou ano de Copa do Mundo com seleção brasileira, as possibilidades que você poderia ter, facilidades ou dificuldades.
Possibilities do you think you have to defend Brazil in the World Cup now playing for Barcelona?
Na verdade, essa decisão que eu tomei foi desde o começo, desde quando eu comecei a entender de futebol. Eu já sabia que eu queria vir jogar no Barcelona.
I made already when I started playing football, when I knew that one day I wanted to become a Barca player.
Fiz tudo possível para me vir, presidente.
I tried to make it, do everything from my part to make this possible.
Minha esposa me deram todo o suporte possível para mim.
I gave them all of my support to make this happen.
E depois, no momento certo, tomar a decisão de vir ou não. E obviamente eu já tinha a decisão na minha cabeça, mas
I had the decision made up in my mind.
Que pensar nos fatos, no que agrega ou não. E obviamente acredito que eu não me decepcionei da minha decisão. Não me arrependi e não vou me arrepender.
I'm not disappointed by my decision whatsoever.
Alejandro Segura, en directo para Radio Marca. Bienvenido, Raphinha. Mi pregunta es para el presidente. La semana que viene, el próximo sábado, es el primer clásico de la pretemporada.
Is the first clásico of the preseason.
¿Usted se imagina jugada por banda derecha de Raphinha?
Can you already imagine
¿Puede pasar?
Raphinha playing on the right with Lewandowski in the middle?
De momento lo que sí que podemos imaginar es jugada por la banda derecha de Raphinha.
What we can imagine is Raphinha playing in the wing and scoring a goal.
Espero que acabe en gol, porque me lo ha explicado cómo lo hace.
Because he explained me how he does it to score goals.
Eso sí que podemos imaginar.
Coming from the left.
Pasa que la imaginación es libre, ¿sabes?
You can imagine whatever you want.
Segona pregunta.
Hola, bona tarda. Aquí, Paula Muriel, de l'Esportiu. Raphinha, benvindo ao Barcelona. Mesmo sendo internacional como a seleção brasileira, tem aqui muito torcedor que não conhece muito bem você. Então, como se define como jogador?
How do you define yourself as a player?
Primeiro, que eu acabo achando normal o torcedor não me conhecer muito bem. Pelos
First of all, everybody knows me, knows
são grandes clubes, têm grandes histórias.
I played in great clubs with great history.
O torcedor do Barcelona e até mesmo o torcedor brasileiro não me conhecer.
And here in Barca,
mas sou um jogador que
so many great Brazilian players,
sempre buscando o melhor não só para o grupo.
Me, I'm always looking to improve.
Cada dia tento
every day,
evoluir pouco mais
do que foi
ontem. E
get
o que o torcedor pode esperar é Raphinha lutador que vai estar sempre
Raphinha that is a fighter
melhor do clube.
And will give everything for this club.
Hola, aquí darrere Anaïs Martí a La Vanguardia. Bienvenido, Raphinha, mucha suerte. La meva pregunta és pel director de futbol, Mateu Alemany. Li volia preguntar per inscriure Raphinha i altres fitxatges que poden arribar
and the other players that could still come.
De sortida de jugadors per alleugerir aquesta massa salarial.
Players will also have to leave to satisfy the salary cap.
No trobin una sortida, aquells descartats per Xavi. Gràcies.
Could you shed light on the players that where Xavi perhaps doesn't count on?
No, this is not an option. Because it won't affect the fair play.
Javier Gascón. Hola, Javier Gascón de Mundo Deportivo. Para Mateu o para Laporta. Hoy hemos conocido la cláusula de rescisión de Raphinha, pero ayer
Today we learned about
la de Dembélé.
Bio clause of Raphinha. But what about Dembélé's? How much is it?
€100 millones.
100 million euros.
Bon dia. Toni Joan Martí de Relevo. La meva pregunta és per tant el president o pel director de futbol. Amb el fitxatge de Raphinha,
with the signing of Raphinha,
es planta a nivell de fitxatges fins que no s'activi la segona palanca?
Will there be more signings before the next financial lever will be activated?
La segona palanca podria permetre ja nous fitxatges o haurem d'esperar?
Could the second financial lever facilitate further incorporations?
Nosaltres ens hem fixat com a objectiu aconseguir reforçar l'equip en la línia que ens ha demanat el tècnic.
All the players that Xavi has demanded.
Raphinha
was one of our priorities.
El fet que es quedés Dembélé amb les circumstàncies que ha explicat molt bé el Mateu.
Dembélé's contract extension also was something that Xavi Hernández wanted, and we will have to analyze other circumstances.
I el que sí que seguirem treballant per aconseguir
trying to
les operacions, les opcions que ens ha proposat el cos tècnic.
Sign all the players that our staff and our manager needs for next season.
Del diari Esport, la meva pregunta és pel senyor Alemany. Ha tancat el capítol Raphinha i sabent que amb Lewandowski hi ha negociacions obertes.
Now with Raphinha in and the continued negotiations for Lewandowski,
es tanca també el tema
what is the state of the central defending position? Are there talks with regards to Koundé? Are they still open?
Ja sabeu que no som molt partidari de noms, no?
I don't really like to talk about players. We have to respect all the clubs.
I segona, i en quant a les posicions, també ha dit el president, l'entrenador ens ha marcat
our manager
estem al mercat,
has explained us his priorities, and now we are focused on the summer transfer market to try and sign all the players that Xavi needs. I think that we are working hard and we are in the good direction, but we still need time to confirm the following steps. And we will be continue hearing Xavi Hernández's desires.
La Sexta, bienvenido Raphinha. Una pregunta para el presidente. Le hemos visto que se envuelve bien hablando en portugués aquí con Raphinha.
You're happy to hear the Brazilian Portuguese again, Raphinha.
El portugués, el brasilero, me suena bien.
I like to speak Portuguese. I've been talking many years. That's why I speak some Portuguese. I love to hear it, and it's a really beautiful language.
You
are talking about the Polish language?
no quiero que se malinterprete.
I don't want to say anything. I don't
Nosotros
want
nos llaman polacos, eso sí.
any bad interpretation. You know that to the Catalan people they call us Polish people, but no, I don't want to answer.
No hablo ese idioma.
And no, I
me gusta mucho, no
don't talk this language.
David Ibáñez.
Muy complicado además.
And it's a really difficult language to learn.
Hola, buenas tardes. David Ibáñez de Mediaset. Una pregunta para el presidente de la Porta. Bienvenido, Raphinha. Acaba de decir que le van a dar a Xavi lo que ha pedido, ¿no? Y aquí en esta sala
You said you're going to give Xavi what he asked for.
Xavi reconoció
At the
que
end of May,
Lewandowski es una de las
Xavi
opciones
said
que manejaban y que le gusta.
Lewandowski is very much to his liking.
Le podemos decir a Xavi que esté tranquilo.
Can we tell Xavi to be at ease with regards to Lewandowski?
Vamos a intentar
We are going to try
las demandas del cuerpo técnico de Xavi
sign all the players
en la medida de lo posible.
that football department Xavi Hernández demand us.
Obligado a hacerlo porque sabéis que
But
depende
as you know,
de diferentes partes.
it doesn't depend everything on ourselves. We are working hard and
bajo mi opinión,
really well, I understand.
se está trabajando muy bien
We are working well
para conseguir
to
hacer un equipo
try
muy competitivo.
and
Hoy
have a
presentamos
really
a
competitive
Raphinha, que
squad
sí que
for
era
next campaign.
una demanda del
Raphinha
cuerpo
was
técnico
one of
también.
our priorities,
Y además quiero agradecerle que había
and I
otros
want to
clubes muy
thank
interesados
Raphinha
en sus
to pick
servicios.
passes. There were other
Y él
important clubs
siempre ha puesto
trying to
como
sign him,
prioridad al
and his
Barça.
priority was FC
Esto
Barcelona.
es una cosa para nosotros
And for us,
importantísima.
this is
Que el jugador
a vital
tenga
aspect.
como prioridad el Barça. Y luego todo lo que hay referencia a
All
tema
references
de jugadores
about
que tienen
players
contrato en vigor
that
con
have
equipos,
contracts with other
nosotros hemos
clubs.
hecho lo que teníamos que hacer, que era
We did
ponernos en contacto con el club, pero no
what we
podemos
could
estar aquí
to
comentando
keep in contact with the
cómo va todo
club.
esto, porque
But I cannot
es por
explain you
respeto
the
al Bayern de Múnich que
minute-by-minute
no podemos
negotiations.
entrar en según qué
We have to
triquiñuelas
respect
que nos
them.
queréis entrar, como la del idioma. El idioma es
And
complicado, pero pues,
you
se
asked me about the
puede
language.
hacer,
Polish is a really
bueno,
difficult language.
ya veremos cómo va esto.
But we have to wait.
En este momento, permitidnos que
Nowadays,
mantengamos la reserva sobre este tema.
we cannot explain you
por respeto al
anything
Bayern.
because we respect Bayern.
Preguntes?
Hola, bona tarda. Patricia Masses, de Televisió Espanyola. La meva pregunta és pel Raphinha. Benvingut.
My question is for
resultat
Raphinha.
estaria satisfet a nivell personal aquesta temporada?
Which are your objectives for this season?
¿Puedes repetir?
Segundo.
Que a nivel personal, ¿con qué resultado estarías satisfecho esta temporada en el
Which
Barça?
are your main goals in the individual aspect for you this season?
Pessoalmente, acho que eu penso que quando o grupo vai bem,
I think that when the group does well,
individual acaba aparecendo.
individually,
Então, o que eu posso
you
fazer
also
é
start
dar
to
o meu
stand
melhor
out.
individualmente para ajudar o grupo e assim,
Individually,
o
I'm going to try to help the group.
se saindo bem nos jogos, nas competições, eu também consigo meus resultados individuais.
So I hope that my individual qualities will stand out and help the greater good in the group.
Cristina Navarro, del diario Marca. La meva pregunta és pel president Laporta. Fa just una setmana, no recordo si la presentació d'aquest CEO de Christensen, vostè va dir que havien fet una oferta al Bayern i que estaven a l'espera d'una resposta.
You said that after Christensen's arrival, you made a good offer to Bayern and you're now waiting.
I'm sorry, but I cannot give you more details about Lewandowski. They haven't answered yet our
Per respecte al Bayern no
offer.
entrarem en més profunditat en aquest tema.
But I cannot give you more details.
Hola, Víctor Malo de Culemania. Bienvenido, Raphinha. La meva pregunta és pel president. Jo li volia preguntar, vostè fa uns mesos va comentar que explicarien les comissions en els
You would explain the commissions of the signings.
el cost total de l'operació del fitxatge de
Could you
Raphinha
perhaps explain the cost and the commissions of the signing of Raphinha? Thank you.
Sí, ha sigut una operació com totes les operacions aquestes que tenen doncs, un transfer al club que ven el jugador i després una comissió
transfer to the club and also a commission to the agents. Mateo, if you can give more details about these commissions.
Òbviament, simplement dir-li, perquè crec que és lo rellevant que és una operació clàssica.
Well, this is a classic transfer. About numbers.
Dos tipus de comissió, la que paga
commission
poca vegades que el venedor i el comprador normalment paga una proporció del salari del jugador.
And also a part of the salary. But this is we are talking about normal amounts of money. It's a classic operation, but no, I'm not going to give you the exact numbers of the operation.
Última pregunta, ara sí.
Hola, Juli Claramunt en directe al Twitch de Gigantes. Benvingut al Barça, Raphinha. Abans el president Laporta ha dit que la imaginació és lliure quan parlàvem de Lewandowski.
Welcome, Raphinha.
Tu t'imagines fent assistències
Do you imagine yourself
del Bayern
assisting
Gràcies.
Robert Lewandowski?
Na verdade, o que eu me imagino é fazendo assistências.
To be honest, I can imagine
que estão no elenco,
to give
Alba,
assists
pro Ferran,
to players around me. Ansu, Alba,
jogadores do elenco,
players that I have here right now. I can't talk about players who aren't here.
Vou passar por cima dele, então o meu desejo hoje é dar assistências para os jogadores do clube.
My idea is to give assists to the players of the club.
Com és habitual, per tancar la roda de premsa de presentació, en aquest cas de Raphinha,
the end of this press conference and the presentation of Barça's latest signing, Raphinha, the Brazilian international right-winger, is now officially part of the club and excited to be so. We heard him, Bruno, talk about a dream come true as he's now handed over the also customary plaque for him to take home as good memory, of this fantastic day where, as he mentioned himself, time and time again, it was a dream come true since he was a kid.
Yes, a dream come true, that his priority, of course, was to sign FC Barcelona, accepting that there were other clubs that were bidding for Raphinha, and of course, as we were expecting, they have many questions to President Laporta, Mateu Alemany, about the summer transfer market.
Well, with that, we are also going to end our connection slowly but surely here on Barça TV Plus. Thank you for watching us, all of you on YouTube as well. Make sure, of course, that you stay tuned to this space. As you can hear, there's still lots happening behind the scenes, so stay tuned for any latest developments and, of course, for all of those friendlies that will be played on American territory. Bruno, you also have to start packing your bag and get on over there. And for us from here, we bid you farewell. And we will see you the next time over in America, where we will face Inter Miami. We will see you then.